Hello, friends. Welcome back to Graceful Living and welcome to all of you that are new here today. Today, we are diving right into the video and jumping into today's project, which is putting together a quick little family night hot cocoa bar. And we are also going to try to make some cute little chocolate hot cocoa cups that popped up on Instagram the other day. I think they might be the new hot cocoa bomb of 2021, and I think they are just a little cuter. So for starters, I did get out all of my supplies. Now, if you have been around my channel for very long, you will know that I love to keep stocked up on little things like sprinkles, candies, cupcake cups, straws, and anything else that is going to help to cuten up a dessert tray. So let's go ahead, dive in and looking at all that I have out. Now, I didn't end up using everything, but I love having everything out so I can kind of look at it and know what I have on hand. Now, I am going for my regular gold colors because it is going to be out in our home. And you know me, I love sticking to my traditional colors. So I have picked up a few things that I really love. Like these stars are absolutely perfect. I found them at Hobby Lobby and I just love using them. They're a little different than things that you find at Walmart or at your local grocery store. I did bring out a few things like straws and extra little bags and things like that, just in case I do go ahead and wrap some of these up. I think if you were wanting to keep them out for very long, you would definitely want to bag them up or put them in a container. That's what I ended up doing after we were done, is I put everything in containers and left them on the counter so anybody can go over and grab them, but nothing is going to get stale. So being out on the tray is just for a quick little cute stop during the evening, and that is it. Everything does get packed away after that. Now, if I was going to keep a hot cocoa bar out like I did last year, I would definitely use my apothecary jars or other things that were sealed to keep things out and fresh. So let's go ahead and get started on the project. Okay, so the first thing we need to try and create these chocolate cups are these small 3-ounce bath cups. Now, I could not find the paper ones at our local Walmart, so I did go with the plastic version that I did find there. And the only thing I would caution you on about these is that you do need to make sure as you are cutting into them that tiny slivers of the plastic do not end up on your workspace or in your chocolate. But other than that, they worked out fine and the slivers were really easy to see. Now, it wasn't a big deal, but it is something that you do need to kind of pay attention to. I think with the others, they might have a wax coating on them that you would have to kind of look for and make sure to brush that out of the way. So I think either way, you're going to have to pay attention to some of the coating or the plastic coming off. Now, I did decide to cut my cups before filling them with chocolate because I thought that might make taking them off an easier process. And once I cut down the side, I simply taped it up with masking tape, folding over the top to make a pull tab of sorts. Once again, just hoping that that would make it a little easier to take off. Now, this is all trial and error, and in the end, I did end up cutting the cups down a little more because I found that was the best way to take it off the cups. Now, I took some of my melts over to the microwave and melted them. You want to do that in 30-second intervals and just kind of stir your melts in between until they get nice and creamy. Now, I did bring mine out and they were still little clumps of chocolate, but your chocolate is warm, your bowl is warm, so you can just keep stirring until it's nice and smooth. And then you just start putting it into your cups. I would say 2 to 2.5 tablespoons of the chocolate is good for this size of cup. You are going to end up with your cup nice and coated. I did put them in the freezer for a little bit and then began filling in my chocolate molds. Now, I missed some of this footage. I am so sorry, but I just took that leftover chocolate, filled in a couple of my molds, and I might use these for the front of the cups. Now, I'm taking my first cup out. I probably didn't leave it in long enough, but that is me. If it's not done in 5 minutes, then I don't like to do it. Now, this is where I did learn that I should have cut my cup down a little bit further and on to the bottom. Now, as you can see, some of the chocolate did chip off on the top. Don't put that back in your melting bowl. We can fix that later on and you will be able to use that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cut a few more cups, and as you can see, I'm cutting down onto the bottom. I'm just going to reuse the tape that I had before because it's still sticky enough, and we'll go ahead and start this process all over again. Now, in the beginning, I did think that my chocolate would be thin enough to just kind of swirl around the cup as I spun it. But in the end, I did find that I needed to use my spoon to kind of spread the chocolate around to make sure the cup was completely coated. Now, because the cups are white, it did make it easy to know which areas needed more coating. So I would simply push chocolate over to that area to ensure it was completely coated before popping them into the freezer for just a little bit. Okay, now on to creating the lids. And now I could not remember how they were done in the small video over on Instagram, so I simply opted to cut my cups in half, placing them upside down atop a parchment covered cutting board. Once the discs are set in the freezer, they will quickly release from the board and the cups themselves, serving as the perfect little lids. Now, as another reminder, I think this is when I discovered the small slivers of plastic because of trying to cut the cups down, and sometimes your cuts do overlap, creating those small slivers. So just be a little more cautious at this time. my next step was to even out all the uneven tops of the cups. And to do that, I simply put a plate in the microwave. Now, I did add a little water to the center to be on the safe side, which I quickly wiped off once it came out of the microwave. And that plate is what I used as my melting station. It made quick work of the chocolate edges, making them all even and smooth. To fill the cups, I simply used a heaping tablespoon of hot cocoa mix. And I think this is where personal preference and the size of the cup you use would make the difference. I do have extra cocoa on hand if needs be, and if I were gifting these, I would definitely add a bag of cocoa to the mix just in case someone is wanting a little extra in their own cup. But for the most part, I think this portion was sufficient and worked well with the type of cups that we were using ourselves. Now to place the lids on top, I spread some melted chocolate across the lid to serve as a glue to hold them to the cups. Then I did use my finger to smooth the chocolate around the top of the cup and at the base of the lid to ensure a complete seal. I did end up with some uneven lid bases, so I simply reheated my plate for those and used it once again as my melting station to create a smooth bottom to the lid, and then place the lids on top of the cups, repeating that sealing part with my finger. Now, they are nowhere near perfect, but they sure are cute, and I don't think anyone is going to notice unless they inspect them, and then I'm sure they're going to see their little imperfections. But again, they are adorable, and I think anyone is going to enjoy using them. Next, it was time to start embellishing and prettying these little cups up. So the first thing I started with was marshmallows. Again, using my chocolate to bond them together with the cup lids. Next, what I did is I cut some straws into 3 equal parts. I did dip one end into that melted chocolate to hold that into place on top of the lid, kind of nestled into the marshmallows to kind of make it look like a frappuccino of sorts. Then I placed some melted chocolate into a small Ziploc baggie, cut a tiny hole in the corner, and drizzled some chocolate over the top of the marshmallows, topping that off with some sprinkles and those gold little stars to finish it off. As you can see, I did use a few of the candies I made in the candy molds earlier to place on the front of the cups, but I did have an idea that I wanted to try and put in place, and that was to add a label to some of them as well. So I grabbed a lunch bag, cut some strips, and went to writing out a few words of the season and placed them on the rest of the cups. Once again, using a small dot of the melted chocolate at each end of the label to hold them in place on the front of the cups. Now that all the creating is out of the way, I can now move on to putting our little hot cocoa bar together. So I grabbed a couple of pieces out of my stash, like my beautiful cake stand and this tiered tray that I've had for a while now. They were a great find at Home Goods one year. I also decided to use my mirrored tray I had sitting here on the counter because it has that same tone of gold as the others do, and I think they all pair very well together. To fill the bar up with goodies, I used some things that I already had on hand and know that my family truly enjoys munching on. This made this part of the hot cocoa bar super easy because I didn't need to make anything else for the evening. Being I really enjoy creating little stations like this all throughout the year, and sometimes we do have guests stop by unexpectedly, I do enjoy collecting goodies here and there, so I never have to worry about making something up on a whim. Everything always looks super nice and cohesive with the rest of the house. You know that is what I am all about, even when it comes to our little stations like this. I like it to look like it goes with the rest of the home. So this is what I do. And this is super easy and really inexpensive to do if you just pick up things and have them stored in your pantry for such an occasion. The last thing to bring over are the hot cocoa cups, and I think it all came together so perfectly. It looks special and super yummy as well. I love it, and the fact that it will make my little family smile. Now, I know I have already made mention of some of our family traditions, but there's just something about this time of year that really makes them so fun and important. So something like this could easily become a new family tradition. I love the idea of breaking out our old traditions and even creating new ones. And with this one being so easy and inexpensive, anyone can incorporate this into a family fun night together. Another one that we will be doing next week that we always look forward to is picking out donuts on Christmas Eve and having them together then, and then the next morning on Christmas morning. This is another easy and inexpensive way to make memories that truly last a lifetime. Now, our children are obviously very important to us, and putting on that hat of being a parent was something we did not take lightly. I remember Ronnie and I sitting around going through scenarios way before we even had the boys, trying to come up with the best solutions to the problem or navigate how we would do what. Oh, we are far from perfect parents, but we have never given in to those failures. We get up and we try and try some more. It has always been so important to us that the boys build their own faith in God, starting here in our home. So having a close bond with them was most important from the start. And having some of these little traditions in place gives us the opportunity to come together as a family and continue to strengthen and build more bonds as they grow. It also gives us the opportunity to equip the boys with the tools they need to face each and every day. For the Bible says, when we start children off on the way they should go, and even when they are old, they will not turn from it. Take it off, it's fine. Oh, a cramp. I wish you all a wonderful rest of your week. Remember to stay safe, be blessed, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye, everyone.